It's time for a reckoning. So if you are new to my channel, I have a drawer where I put everything that I have not made decisions on, whether or not I'm going to keep them. And I just call it my testing drawer. So this is where I get PR and such other things. So what we're going to do today is go through almost everything in my testing drawer. There are a couple items I'm like not 100% sure I'll be able to make a decision on today. All of them at one point or another have been featured on my face at some point in the channel, so you shouldn't be surprised by anything you see today. There are things that have been featured more. There are things that have been featured less. This is the InnBeautyProject Mineral Sun Glow. They sent this to me in PR, and I actually quite like it. I have the fair medium shade, and it is a mineral sunscreen. And I can't speak to like flashback because I'm very fair. It would have to be pretty bad flashback for me to really see it. I like the glow this gives, but I think ultimately I'm really impressed. I feel like a lot of mineral sunscreens, their formula tends to feel really, really thick. And this doesn't feel very thick. And I just really like the glow. It's subtle once it sets into the skin, but I don't feel like it's super, super tacky or like too glowy, but you know, that's always a matter of opinion, how glowy you like things. This is early in the morning recording. It's up to personal opinion, but I feel like it dries down. It doesn't say super tacky. I just feel like it's a very nice, nice glow. And I find this to feel a little less oily than the Unseen sunscreen, which is what I have been using for the most part. Just like that's typically what I tend to use. I have used some like K-beauty sunscreens, so I'm happy to have received this in PR. I'm gonna keep it and use it up because it's, you know, it was a free sunscreen and we're in the middle of summer, but I really like this. And I find that InnBeautyProject for a Western skincare brand is pretty fairly priced, but obviously this could still be too expensive for some people. And if that's the case, let me refer you to my friend Sarah Rose Beauty. She just did a bunch of reviews on sunscreens in the K-beauty and J-beauty market. So I would go check that out. They're mostly chemical sunscreens. So if you're not looking for a chemical sunscreen, it might not be helpful to you. But I think she does it every year. So check that out. It could be helpful. And I think that those markets tend to update their formulas for their sunscreens a lot more than the US. So that's a pretty valuable resource if you want to learn more about sunscreens. Use a sunscreen, even if it's not my favorite. I tend to not get super picky about it, unfortunately. I mean, like, not unfortunately, it's just I'm not super picky about it, but I will keep that. So that's one for keep. This is the RMS Beauty Bohemian Girl Redimension Hydra Powder Blush. So it's this coral, and I talked a lot about this on my channel. Every time I use it, I'm not super impressed by it. But I think another thing to keep in mind, if you just watched my Huge Declutter series, something I talked about a lot is like, I just don't want to have colors in my collection I'm not going to wear. So it is like a corally shade, and it is pretty. I think it looks good on me. But I do not see a world where I ever am like choosing this over anything else in my makeup collection. So it's just going to get lost in the sauce, and it's like there's no point in me keeping it. Another thing I feel about this is like, it's really an overhyped formula. I think it's like a fine formula. It's an easy formula to use, but like a lot of other influencers like lose their minds over this. And it was just like, I've tried other blushes that are like pretty good that I liked a lot more than this. And I just feel like, I don't know, I don't get it. I don't get it. So I'm going to declutter that one. This is from Danessa Myricks. A friend sent this to me. It is the Universal Blurring Balm Powder. Now, before I open this, it's going to be a jump scare. It is not pretty inside of this. So when I shave my facial hair, a lot of my cream products end up getting the facial hair in it. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I wash my face, how much of the loose hair I try to wipe off, there's always gonna be hair in it. And for some reason, I think it's just because this has like no tint to it. It's like so obvious in this product. So for that reason, I'm not gonna pass this on to anyone. Let me tell you a little bit about this product. This was something that I was always kind of curious about, and this is the mini size. I feel like I didn't use it that many times, and I feel like it looks like I used a lot of it. I don't know that it has as much blur as like I'm looking for whenever I'm looking for a blurring product, and you all know that I love a blur, so it's not like a secret. That's something I'm looking for. I also didn't feel like it really like mattified or really anything like that, and I know that the brand kind of like hypes it up as this like beautiful multi-use product. I think it's a fine primer, and I think I like it more in the summertime when my skin is producing more oils. So I think it certainly is good for that. I don't think I would like a tinted version of this because I know it comes in colors. I tried one of the blushes. I just didn't like the color of the blush. And also, I just gotta say, after all the Pride stuff this year and the habitual inability to do a Pride launch without some kind of affair. I'm like a little bit over Danessa Myricks. I'm a little over it as a brand. I'm probably not gonna like buy stuff from the brand anymore. I have a couple of things floating around in my collection in my testing drawer that like if I like them enough, I'll keep them. But I don't know until they sort that out. Like next Pride, if they do a Pride release, which I think it might even be smarter of them for not to do it. But if they do a Pride release and it goes off without a hitch, maybe I'll consider it. But they haven't been able to do that. So I am going to keep this. I'm going to use it up, but like it is really just like such a mid product and I'm only not passing it on because of how gross it looks on the inside. Like I wouldn't want to give that to someone with like all my facial hair in it. And like I said, like there's a pretty good dent going in here and I got it brand new from my friend and it like, I think I'll be able to use this up rather quickly. I'm going to use the Victoria Beckham primer up first. It's kind of been my focus this summer. Then this will probably be what I focus on. And then I'll go back to my Bobbi Brown, which I'm very adamantly trying to get through. And it just feels like it's taking forever. There's no order of operations here. So we're going to jump from like types of product to types of product. So next we're going to talk about a lipstick. This is from Westman Atelier. It is the shade Rue in their matte lipstick formula. So first and foremost, gorgeous Westman Atelier, typical gorgeous packaging. It is like a pretty bulky packaging too. Like this is really wide. I don't know. Hold on. I'm going to try it in my drawer real quick to see if it will even go in the thing I have for lipsticks. Of course, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in there, but let me swatch this for you. I like this. I like the color of it a lot. It's a pretty neutral brown. I tend to like cool tone browns or neutral browns, and anything that has a lot of red in it, I tend to avoid because then it reads very vampy. So there definitely is more red in this than a lot of my brown lipsticks, but I like the color quite a bit. I don't know that I like love this formula. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't dislike the formula, but I feel like very few lipstick formulas wow me. And for this being at the price point it's at, it's like not much different than a matte lipstick you could buy from MAC or probably some drugstore brands that I've never tried matte lipsticks from. Like the formula is nice, but it has a bit of that silicone-y feel. I feel like moisturizing matte lipsticks tend to have that silicone-y feel. And so it like has all of those things kind of going on. But one thing I will say kind of with Westman Atelier across the board is like, I can't imagine their packaging is cheap. A lot of times in other brands, you're paying a lot for like the product inside at an upcharge, but I have to believe that the custom packaging that Westman Atelier has is like actually expensive and part of the cost that you're paying for it. And so I do really appreciate that. So I really like this. Let me grab some of my other browns just to make sure I'm not like duping anything out before I make a decision on this. This is Cimarron from Gucci, and I think it has the potential to be the closest shade. This is more of a satin finish. And as you can see, it is a little more raisiny, has a little more pinky purple in it. And this definitely has a little more red to it. It is pretty similar, but they are different, but that's really getting granular. Gucci lipstick packaging is also very, very luxe feeling, but also a much more manageable size. And then this one's not going to be very close at all. This is the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude in the shade Noah. And this is more of like a milk chocolatey brown. I think what you're going to notice in this shade is that it's definitely more cool toned. And obviously it's a sheerer formula. And it definitely appears much more darker in person. I'm looking in my monitor. It doesn't appear to be much darker on camera, but in person, that one definitely feels a lot darker. I also brought out a couple lip liners. This is Makeup Forever Endless Cacao, and it's definitely lighter and more cool toned. This is Victoria Beckham 5. That's like also light and warmer. And then this is Chestnut from MAC. I would say it's the closest to that. And I'm not one to wear lip liner all over my lips. So this would be more of like a pairing. So I think what I really need to figure out now is whether or not those are different enough to me. And I did buy this myself, the Westman Atelier, which also, changes your relationship to things. It makes me want to keep it more. And I don't think that this was like a bad choice for me to try out, But I've been so much more into like lip glosses, and if I reach for a lipstick, it's probably going to be Merit 1990 because of the sheer application of it, but I just have been more into the glossy look. So these full pigmented lipsticks already aren't getting a lot of play in my collection. I'm inclined to keep it. I like the packaging. I'm a sucker for the Westman Atelier packaging. And I don't have a ton of lipsticks anymore. I have 11 and this would be my 12th lipstick. That's not including lip glosses or anything when I did my declutter. So I think it's okay for me to hold on to this. I think down the line there will be a decision made between these two, but I can wait till like December to make that decision. I just want to see if I like continue to pull it out. I will say I haven't reached for it a ton off camera either because it's just like it's that high pigment formula and I like a less fussy lipstick than that. Like things with a lot of pigment, I tend to like not choose because I wear makeup on camera a lot, but I also wear it off camera. And if I'm wearing makeup off camera, I'm not choosing a fussy lip. And not that this is like incredibly fussy. I think it wears off really well, but it's just like, this is something that you would take with you and like have to need a mirror to reapply. Where after my first application with the Merit lipstick, I just kind of slather it on like a lip balm. So I'm going to keep it. My goal is to not like, now that I've decluttered my collection, to fill it back up. That's not my goal. This was gifted to me from MAC vis-a-vis Skeepers, and this is the Strobe cream in PinkLiteb. And this was offered to me right after I really was considering grabbing those serum oils, or I don't forget what the actual name is, the Creature of Light things from Ritual Defeat, which I'm still interested in reviewing. But then I got offered this, which is not the exact same thing, but a very similar product. It's interesting because they don't, on MAC's website, because when I was like looking this up the one day, it's like not listed as a primer, but that's what I'm inclined to use it as. And it's a very beautiful, hydrating primer, moisturizer kind of thing. I don't think they even say it as it's like a moisturizer, but I wear it as a primer and it has like the most subtle pink sheen to it. Like on the high points of your cheeks when you're not wearing any makeup, this would be like really beautiful just to add a little something, but it's not like an incredibly like blinding thing. And whenever I had the original Creature of Light from Ritual Defeat, it wasn't like a super blinding product either. It kind of reminds me of the Victoria Beckham Golden Primer and they do have like a golden version of this, but I'm not leaning into the bronze. This was something that I thought I was going to live a full fantasy out getting the golden one, but it's like, it's got a similar vibe to it. If you were interested in the Victoria Beckham one, I think this could be a good alternative. And also for those of you who have like cooler undertones and don't want a bronzy primer, I think that it's like a good alternative to it. I don't love it more than I love the Victoria Beckham. I would still buy the Victoria Beckham with my money before buying this, but I like having the option to have that little bit of pinkiness, especially with my cooler undertones. I really appreciate it, but I really like this formula. I find it's like pretty nourishing on the skin and it does create a really good base for makeup. I obviously have some primers to go through. This would be, I'm going to keep this one, but it's like my last focus. I'll probably pull it out sometimes until I finish up everything else. And I think I also would want to finish this before buying the Victoria Beckham. We'll see. Once I finish my Bobbi Brown, once I finish this, then the Golden Victoria Beckham, and then also the Bobbi Brown primer, I might buy the Victoria Beckham one as well, the regular one, but I really like this, and I think I might just, I could see myself using this up. So thank you for MAC to sending this to me. I really like it. I'm glad it's back in my life. Whenever I did Messmas project I did in 2021 where I tried to use all of my makeup, I had a sample of this primer and I really enjoyed it. I actually used it all the way up, and you might be like, it's really easy to use up a sample, but there were some primer samples I had that I refused to use up because I did not like them. And I really like this one. So I'm happy to have this back in the collection. This is from Lisa Eldridge. It is the eyeliner in the shade Renaissance Gold. And my friend Ananda, who's also Medium Olive on Instagram, she sent this my way. She tends to like warmer toned things, and whenever she lands on something cooler toned, she will often, not always, send it my way to let me give it a try. This is one thing I have not made a decision about. I've used it a couple of times, but I still don't really know how I feel about it. The gold in it isn't really strong. I think I don't love sparkly eyeliners because I mostly use it in my waterline. I don't often use it on the top of my lash line. When I use this on the top of my lash line, then I just kind of smudge it out like an eyeshadow, and it is really pretty. However, in my waterline, I think it held up just fine, but not as well as the Victoria Beckham ones for me. But for me, I just got rid of my sequin green eyeliner from Victoria Beckham, kind of for similar reasons. I just like didn't find myself really using the sparkly eyeliners. Like a satin eyeliner, I don't mind as much. It's not even, I'm obviously not opposed to shimmer. I also like, if I wanted to try this formula, I would want to buy a shade that I know I'm going to use a lot. So like whenever I do eventually decide to do like a Lisa Eldridge brand review, this wouldn't be the color I'd select. I have learned as I've continued doing this all that it's really important to make sure you're picking shades that you would use otherwise whenever you're reviewing a brand, unless you're trying a product that is like really out of left field for you. But like I want to use this and I wouldn't use it. You know what I mean? Like, so I think the color is not the right color for me. My one friend has been getting more into eyeliner. I think she would like to have this because she doesn't really wear eyeshadow. So I could see her smudging this out and it being like a whole eye look for her. And I think it's going to be really great for that. It is pretty, but it's not, the formula, I didn't love it as much as the Victoria Beckham, but I think it's close. These are the About Face Eye Paints, and I can't lie to you, these just don't really, this isn't the kind of makeup that I'm into. And it's not that I'm really opposed to a liquid shadow. I feel like these are not colors, just kind of like with the last product. These are not colors I would have chosen. They came in 2 3-packs. There was like a primary color one, and then there was like this colorway, and I'm not sure what they called this colorway. This blue is really bad. This blue, it's really patchy. It's like, I don't know if all of the darker colors are like that, but if I would avoid this shade. It's the shade No Queen Blues. Even if you're into this kind of thing, I still don't think this one would be worth it. And I'm not really into like primary colors. I think this one went with this group, and then this was the primary blue. I like the idea of having like a liquid yellow shadow like this. They have a more pastel yellow that I think I would like more than this one, so that's why I'm not going to keep that one. I don't wear a lot of red, so that one's just kind of out as it is. And so then we're left with like the 3 more like quirky colors. And these ones, like, I'm not wearing blue, so I'm gonna also pass on this one. This shade right here, it's the shade Vertigo Flowers. It's giving Brat Summer. And I'm trying to live a Brat Summer fantasy. Like, it definitely has that like that quality of thing. I still don't like love the formula, which is like why I'm hung up on it. And then this shade, this is the shade La Zona Rosa. I think this shade is really, really pretty. I have been wearing more pinks recently, but not like this kind of pink, this kind of desaturated pink. When it's blended out, it does look more like, you know, a more typical kind of like blending shade of pink, but I wouldn't reach for this because these don't hold up on my eyelids. Everyone has a different journey with these. For me, they break down on my eyelids pretty quickly. I find that they're not my favorite thing to work with just kind of in general. The green shade I like because of like kind of where we're at this summer, but like I'm probably not going to do brat makeup. I have other greens that are like a brat green, and I would rather use a powder shadow, so I think it's okay for me to pass on this. However, I used this as a blush. I mixed it in with some Auric Glow Lust, and I like really liked the way that looked. But it's not really a blush in and of itself. And I feel like because it's not, I probably would very rarely mix that together. That was just like something I did in playtime. And I just like downsized my blushes. I just like downsized my highlighters and all of that kind of thing. And I just feel like even in my collection of more curated blushes, this is like not something I'm gonna go out of my way. I would rather have like a blush shade like this in a shimmery formula or like a satin formula. I think I would really like that, but it's not something I feel like I need to dupe out right now. However, I have another product that I feel like is kind of what I'm looking for in what I just said. So this is the Chewy Deek blush. Goodness gracious. The Cheek Dewy blush from bellabeautébar. This is sent in PR. This is Rose Ritual. And this is something that I have like, I test, and then I have like, I feel like I have different feelings on it every time. Wow. Why? It like doesn't feel that brownie to me whenever I use it on my face. Or was that just what was in the edge of it? Wow. So this is what this one looks like blended out a little bit. And I feel like it's kind of like a darker, brownier version of that paint from, God, was this even in frame when I was talking about it? Who knows? This is what it looks like if it wasn't in frame. But it leans a little more warm, and I do tend to prefer a neutral or cool leaning cheek, but I've liked it every time I've used it. It is really highly pigmented. Like, it's kind of shockingly pigmented. So I do think my friends who have a deeper complexion than me would like this even more. I think you would really have a much easier time using it than I did. But whenever I stippled it out with like a stippling brush and like applied the right amount, which did take some, you know, push and pull for me to like get to the point where I was like, okay, I really liked it. I'm gonna swatch it next to some of my other like mauve-y blushes. I don't think it's gonna be close to anything. These are all the blushes that I already have in my collection that I think might get us somewhere close. But we'll start with the Pillow Talk shade of the Pillow Talk blush, liquid blush from Charlotte Tilbury, which whenever I first got this product, I thought it was gonna be the closest to. But you can definitely see there's like a lot of gray, and it's a lot lighter than the one from bellabeautébar. This is like much easier for me to wear, but you can also just like, you can see how much warmer this is. So they're not the same thing at all. But if you were kind of interested in this, but you knew that the undertone wasn't going to work, you needed something a little bit warmer, I think they're like sister shades in that way. So I think you might really like the bellabeautébar one. It doesn't have the sponge tip applicator like the one from Charlotte Tilbury, and that might be a deal breaker for you. It is just like a plastic nozzle, and I wouldn't apply this one directly to my cheek, but that's just because of how pigmented it is. My porcelain skin can't handle that. Also, I could lighten it with other things too if I chose to, but it works well on its own. This is Mimi from Westman Atelier, and it definitely is more beige, so kind of not a comparison at all. This is Inner Glow from Kira Weiss, working my way through that. It will also be beigey, so not quite the same. This is the shade Exothermic from Phytosurgeons. I think it's going to be the closest in tone, but I think the undertone's going to look different. So yeah, that's a lot more browny than that. A little more like of a raisin-y quality. So it's not quite like that. And then this is the Blush Harmony from Chanel in Mauve Beige. As you can see, I have a type. I think it is kind of like close to that. It's weird because like I still think that this gives me a bruisey cheek, which is like something I'm into, but it's like almost like a warm bruise, you know, like a lot of times things look bruisey on us because of like the gray undertone. If you always wanted to get on board with like my cool beigey, mauvey, pinky thing, I think that you would like this. And I like this formula. I'm gonna keep it. I was unsure about this the whole time I've been thinking about it, but I have organically chosen to wear it a couple of times outside of testing it. And that's really what means the most to me whenever I'm like thinking about my testing drawer. If I'm not purposefully like going in there to reach for something, then it's probably not worth me keeping. There's a lot of lip products now that I'm looking at it. So this is from EADEM, and if you watched my quarterly favorites, this was in there. I have the shade Boba Bounce, and it is my favorite lip balm I've gotten to try this year. Lip balms are kind of like a product du jour. I have mentioned this before as well. It's a thick formula, and I am concerned a little bit about the packaging of this product. So I'm going to shear it out because like that's what it's going to look like more so on your lips. You're going to have like the pigment of your lips coming through. This is incredible. So someone told me, I did not look at the ingredients of it. I tend to mostly focus ingredient wise on my like skincare and my foundations whenever I do foundation reviews. So I guess I'm going to just trust my subscriber who said that there's lactic acid in it. And they were concerned because they're sensitive to lactic acid, because this gets promoted as like a exfoliating lip balm. So, and I do agree with it. It doesn't have like a grit to it. But when you put it on first time in the day, I feel like it does get all of the dead surface cells like ready to be buffed off with like a towel or something. And then once you wipe that top layer off, it wears just mostly like a traditional lip balm the rest of the day. It's nice and thick and like lasts. It doesn't feel super, super tacky on the lips. I'm a big fan of this. It's really, really incredible. If you were been interested in it, I still give it my endorsement. I'm trying to finish up some other lip balms before I really like work on this one. I do want to get a clear one for next to my bed. I have some like potted lip balm that I keep next to my bed. Guess what? I do not remember to slather it on because I hate a potted lip balm. I hate it. I'm sorry. I'm at this point where it's like, I want stuff that works for me. And even though I'm like a little bit skeptical of this packaging, it hasn't exploded on me yet. So I am trusting the process there, but it is a thick formula. I think that the hole could be a little bit bigger because it does feel like there's a lot of pushback when I push, but great. Great, keeping that. This is a newer lip balm to me. This is the InnBeauty Sun Balm SPF Broad Spectrum lip balm, and this is the shade Latte. It doesn't smell like coffee. It just kind of has like a sweet scent, and it has this kind of applicator. So it's like a curved plastic. And I like this. It's not the most nourishing lip balm, in my opinion, but I like that there's SPF in it. I know a lot of people complain about things that have SPF in them for your lips tend to taste like SPF. I don't think this smells nor tastes like SPF. This is my first real interaction with like an SPF lip balm. And it was very positive because whenever they sent this to me, this was received in PR, I was like concerned about that because I was like, that has to be yucky. And then this shade, it has a little bit of pigmentation to it, but I feel like on the lips, it doesn't read like super colorful. It just is like a little bit of a layer on the lip. Yeah, so I'm going to be keeping that. I like it. This is from bellabeautébar. This sent this in PR to me. It's the Lip Dewy Gloss. The problem I have with this is kind of what I was talking about whenever I was talking about the Westman Atelier product lipstick. It's very pigmented. It's a really beautiful color, but if I'm gonna wear a lip gloss, that's gonna be too much pigment to me. I like to really like slather on my lip gloss and go. Another thing about this formula, in my opinion, is my lips have to be in good shape before I use this. I feel like for me, whenever I choose to use a lip gloss, it's because my lips might be a little bit dry, might have some dead skin on them. And I always say like lip glosses kind of like cover that sin up. This one won't. It might be because it is like also a lighter pigment. There might be a lot of white pigment in this product, and that might be also why it makes my lips look like crazy if I haven't like exfoliated them enough before putting it on. This just is not my kind of product. I had one from Sigma as well, like a crushed lipsticky gloss thing, and it's just I don't love the pigment. Love this color. It is a really pretty color, but I'm not really into this like pigmented gloss. It's not for me. Speaking of lip glosses, this is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Fair Medium Plump Gasm. I was like, where's the name of it? The Plump Gasm lip gloss. The Big Lip Plump Gasm. The packaging is so tacky, but one thing I will say, I think we all really made fun of how clunky this packaging was whenever this product was released. And I like how big it is, like how clunky it is, because in my bag, I grab it really quickly. So this is, I would say it's mostly just a sheer gloss. It kind of like looks very similar actually to the one from bellabeautébar, but you can see that it's much less pigmented. You can see my tattoo through it pretty easily because of how sheer it is. So I love a plumping lip gloss. I do. I like the way that feels. I like the irritation. I don't mind if it hurts. Like that's where I'm at when it comes to like a lip. I love a plumping lip gloss. I will say and admit that this is the most intense plumping I've ever had with a plumping lip gloss. My God, is it, it's like an intense plump. It's not like the regular plump either. It's like, oh my God, there's like so much plump to it. And it also kind of stings my lips for like a long time too. I feel like a lot of time after the first like minute of a plumping gloss, it's like kind of goes away. I feel it on my lips for like up to 30 minutes. And I like that. But I just think if you were interested in this product, you need to be aware of like, it is intense. I like this on my lips. I think it does do a little bit of a plump. And I think just the quality of the lip gloss makes my lips look really juicy and bigger anyway too. Yeah, it's not a lip gloss that I would say is really good for if you're gonna be talking a lot. It does give you like the white ring of death, but it's a very comfortable gloss. It doesn't feel super sticky. I like the quality of the gloss, removing the plumping aspect of it. I don't know. It's so stupid, but I like it, so I'm gonna keep it. So I have a couple of mascaras from CoverGirl. These two are newer to me, so I'm probably gonna leave them in the testing drawer. This is the Cleantopia Clean Mascara, and this is in the shade Ultramarine Black. And I like the packaging of it. It's actually kind of cute and really easy to find. So it's called Ultramarine because this has like a blue undertone to it. It's like a blue black on my lashes. It doesn't read as blue as it like swatches here. I tend to like this hourglass shape whenever it comes to a mascara, but like the mascara was fine. I didn't feel like it volumized quite a bit. I don't really feel that it like lengthened really much. So I was just kind of like underwhelmed with it. And like I wish it was more committed to being blue. I think this comes in like regular black and like some other shades, but like I didn't really feel like it read as blue, so I just wore it as a black mascara. It never seemed to like clash with anything or really stand out as a blue. I asked some friends if they thought it was blue whenever it was on my lashes, and they were like, it just looks black to me. Now, if you have blonde eyelashes, maybe this will show up very blue. After I decided that I just felt like it was okay, I just was like, I'm gonna move on from it. Like I didn't have any troubles with it, I just didn't really particularly like the way my lashes looked with it. So it's a pass for me. This is the CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume Waterproof Mascara. So I don't normally complain when it comes to how a mascara gets taken off. And I have worn waterproof mascaras in the past. You know what? Maybe I'm not that picky about wands because I kind of like this short bristles, but like rubbery on like a thick wand. I wore this twice and it was so hard, just so hard to get off that I never want to wear it again. I never want to wear it again. Now, one of you, because I did say flippantly in a video, I was like, I can't imagine this being anyone's favorite mascara. Someone uses it kind of like as their last coat of mascara to kind of lock everything into place. I am not, and I'm gonna say this, and I watch me be a liar in the future. I just don't see myself, this is a better way to phrase it. I don't see myself being someone who uses multiple mascaras in one go. I obviously have a couple mascaras going right now. That's like the nature of what I do here. So it's like kind of common at this point for me to have a couple mascaras open, which I don't really love. But then the mascaras started coming much quicker than they did. I used to be able to like use one all the way up and then I would have another one to go. But now it's like I have a couple going at a time and still some ready to go. I'm trying not to have too many open at once, but like I won't ever put this on my lashes again. I won't use it as a top coat. It's just, I don't want that to be part of my thing. I want my mascara to be one step. And that's not, I don't think it's wrong if you are someone who likes to do multi mascaras. I want to only put on one, maybe two applications of mascara, and then I'm done. It's over. Like I'm not doing any more than that. So my mascara has to work that way. But if you do need something on top of your lashes and you want to put a waterproof mascara on top, maybe one swipe of this would be enough for that. I can't recommend it. It was really hard for me to get that off. These are I think this is like a brand new formula for CoverGirl. These are the eye enhancers. I have two of the shades. They did send me three. I didn't open the last one. So one's brown and one is berry brown. This is dark chocolate and it has a curved wand. These are not my favorite. I have tried some good mascaras that have done this. There used to be, I don't know what if they still have it, I don't know what it's called, but like YSL used to have a curl mascara and I liked that one. I tend to like YSL mascaras. Even when they reformulated their mascaras like a couple years ago, I really liked the new formulas. I don't care for this because this formula, these two formulas were much drier, but this formula from CoverGirl is like really wet. This is their brown, by the way. This is black. I think it's called Ultra Black. This is their brown. I think it's just black. Like it's so dark that it's gonna read as black. So if you were looking for like a brown mascara that's gonna show up really, really brown, I don't think that this color of this mascara is going to be the one for you. The formula is really wet. I have in the past liked wet formulas. My hope is that when it dries out a little bit, like in a month or so, after like a month of use and it kind of like really settles into like the mascara it's meant to be, I feel like it's gonna be great. That's like my feeling in my heart of hearts. I'm like, I'm gonna really enjoy this. At that point, I can't speak to it because like right now, because of how wet it is, I do feel like it kind of clumps my lashes together a little bit. But when it doesn't clump my lashes together, I think it looks really, really great. So I'm kind of waiting. I'm waiting out to see if that's going to be the case. It is the mascara I have been reaching for. It hasn't been like so big of a deterrent. Like I do prefer a mascara that kind of out the gate is going to perform the way it's going to perform. This is the berry brown. I like this. And honestly, it is, I mean, it does have that berry to it, but like it definitely reads much more brown, I feel, than like the actual brown, even though it has like that red to it. I have been enjoying this color of mascara. I know that a lot of like luxury brands have something like this in their line. So that's something to consider because I wasn't sure. Like I'm really glad I got to try this kind of color. It's like, it might be something I want to have on hand in the future after I use this up, but I'm hoping that I like this enough that this could be my version of it because it wouldn't be so expensive, because I can't imagine myself using it a lot, even though I like it. I think it's a perfectly fine formula if you can apply it in a way that's satisfactory. I really haven't noticed flaking or transferring or anything like that. It hasn't really made a mess of my face. So for that, I will give it that. I don't curl my lashes, but I have heard Kelly Gooch say she doesn't bother curling her lashes with this mascara because it's so heavy on the lashes. I haven't really noticed that, but that's also not part of my process. Curl isn't normally, I don't take that into consideration with a mascara. These will be in my testing drawer still because I feel like I haven't made my decision on them yet. I'm waiting to see what happens still. Okay, I've had this for so long. This is the Haus Labs Le Monster Lip Crayon 2.0 in the shade Currant Matte, like Currant matte. I don't know if that's the shade name, but it's a red lip liner lip crayon situation. When Ananda sends me like a lip product, it tends to be a color like this in different levels of depth. I have another lip product that Ananda sent me that I feel like is in this kind of like same realm. I don't wear a lot of red lip products. I've had this in the testing drawer since like, I think even before the year started. I like never reach for it. Now, part of it is because it's kind of slim, and whenever I have a lot of stuff in the testing drawer, it kind of gets lost in the sauce. But I just don't reach for this kind of color a lot. I feel like I can't really speak to this as a product as a whole because I don't even remember using it. I gotta be honest with you. Like, I do like remember using it one time. I feel like one time I put it on camera and I wiped it off immediately because it wasn't the color I was gonna use. And I wouldn't say this is like a really bold red, by the way. But if I'm gonna pick a red, I tend to like a neutral red as opposed to like going too blue or too orange. And I just feel like this is really, really warm. And I like an orange lip sometimes, but I already have an orange lip I really, really like. I also, so in that, I think if you sharpen this into the lid, it like sharpens it. I haven't really tried it. It just seems like it does look like it does that. Because in the top of the lid, there's like, it makes it look like a crayon again. So I kind of like the idea of this. If I were to do like a Haus Labs brand review, I wouldn't buy this color. Kind of like I said about the Lisa Eldridge eyeliner. It like didn't speak to me in such a way where I didn't feel like using it. So I don't want to say like it's a good or a bad product. I really don't know. I just I've put it on a couple times and just don't really have feelings about it. And I'm just gonna pass it on. I kept it in my last reckoning because I was like, I really need to give it a try. I think the truth is I don't want to give it a try, and I think that's okay. CoverGirl sent me these things. I don't know what they're called. They've been around for a long time because some of you, I was really shocked, said like, I was using that product in 2013. So these have been around the block. They're like a lip duo. So they come with this like lip balm, and they also come with like a liquid lipstick. This is the shade Brazen Raisin. And I also have, this is numbered 542, but it's like a darker brown with a little bit of pink in it. It's just liquid lipstick has come such a long way. I think it's like promised these like really long wear times. It kind of feels like a formula from 2013. And the lip balms I think are supposed to add longevity. I like put one of these on when I was filming a video and then I worked out, and then after my workout it was gone. And I'm certainly not eating anything during my workout. There's really no reason for a lip product to not be on my lips. Like I wasn't wiping my lips off with like a towel or anything. Kind of like with my mascara, a two-step singular lip product. Obviously I understand I could use one of these or one by itself, but like something that's designed to be like a two-step lip. If the two steps aren't lip liner then lip product, I'm not interested in it. Like I don't like that this is like a two-step lip. It also kind of gives me like MLM vibes. What are those like lipsticks that like last forever that have two steps? You know what I'm talking about? Whatever that is, it kind of gives me the vibe of that. So I'm good on these. I have two more lip products from CoverGirl. I don't know what the name of these are. I have the shade names, Elegant Nude and Darling Mocha. These are supposed to have like some kind of like moisture balm in the center of them. Okay, that's Darling Mocha, and this is Elegant Nude. As you can see, they're not very different shade-wise. They have a little bit of a different undertone to them, but like when I think mocha, I'm thinking something that dark. That's the mocha. And it's just like, I don't think we have to share the vision of what mocha should look like. These were like fine. They're like fine. They're not a lip product I would go out of my way to try. I didn't find them particularly nourishing with the balm in the center. It was like, it's very, both this and the last lip product very much give me like gimmick energy from CoverGirl. So like they are that sheer formula, but I don't think either of these colors are that interesting or any better than my other sheer lipsticks. If I, you know, so it's just like, I could pass. It's just not for me. You might be surprised to see this because it's been around for a long time. This is the Urban Decay Face Bond. I have the shade 5. So the first problem is that it is like the wrong shade for me. It's too dark. And I don't get that dark even in the summertime, although it looks so light now that I have it on my arm, but still darker than my products. This is supposed to be a neutral shade. It says fair, which I don't think that's very fair. It's neutral. Obviously, they have lighter shades too, if I have shade 5. I got it because it said fair neutral. It still leans very, very yellow. So I probably should have gotten a cool toned one, a lighter cool toned one. This was sent to me in PR. It was the first time Urban Decay had sent PR to me. And so I really wish, and I understand, like, you got to pick your shade, but like they sent out and this is not just specific to Urban Decay, whenever you have to pick a shade of something, you're looking at something that they've mocked up and you're kind of really guessing, and they show you the pictures of models wearing them, but I don't find that helpful. I can tell more in a swatch on white whether or not a shade's gonna work on me than looking at someone with a similar skin tone. I don't know. I feel like everyone feels differently about that, but I really feel as though like I didn't have a shot in hell in picking the right shade. But beyond that, it's a very, very fussy foundation formula. Sometimes it would look so gorgeous on me, like it would look so good on me, but that would only be if I put a base on that was so moisturized. Like using like an oil as a primer would probably be the best way to go. I have oily skin too, and it's definitely designed to be for people with oily skin. I'm also wiping off my arm, which is why that's the only thing you see in frame right now. It was like self-setting, which I do agree with, but I like powder. I know that some people are really against powder. I think people with really dry skin are against powder, and I understand that, but I wouldn't recommend this to someone who has really dry skin either, because the same reason that this is self-setting would be the same reason someone with dry skin wouldn't get on with it, in my opinion. So like, I think that the perfect person this would be for is like someone with really oily skin who likes a matte look, but like your skin has to be so oily. Like I think like way oilier than my skin to really, I think really see this. Like otherwise it takes a lot of prep. Now I love the prep steps. I love skincare. I love primer. Like those are all things I'm very into, but you need to do too much babying of this to make it work. So I'm ready to let it go. The reason it's lasted this long is because whenever I put it on and it looks good, it looks so good. But I don't think that makes a good product if it doesn't look so good the majority of the times I use it. It's like just under the right scientific circumstances. So I'm going to pass that on. This one's such a bummer. This is the Lip Dewy Oil from bellabeautébar. They sent this in PR. And let me just take it in. It's like this blurple, like black purple with like beautiful holographic shimmer particles in it. It's like so gorgeous. And yeah, it does look like the Dior lip products. It definitely does. Has this big juicy applicator, but I think you can see what's gonna happen. Can you tell just from looking at the applicator? So when you put it on at first, gorge, but it's already happening. This is one of those pH adjusting things in its formula, and it sustains your lips. I wish it was called a lip stain. So there is a plumping agent in it. As I said, I love a lip plumper. This one was really mild. So I just wiped it off. You can see that it stained my hand. I have gone on and on and on about how I want one, like a sheer black lip gloss, and I thought this was it. I didn't even think that it could have a pH thing. I try to be so good about not using doe foot liquid applicators directly on my lips so that if I don't like something, I can easily pass it on. I use disposable ones until I made a decision. So I was like, for sure, because I love bellabeautébar. I love them. I was like, great. bellabeautébar made a thing that I'm going to absolutely, it's going to be smashed. I'm going to be able to recommend it for people who are also looking for a sheer black gloss. And this just isn't it because it has the pH adjuster. It's such a bummer. It's really such a bummer, but I got to let it go. Okay, the InnBeautyProject Face Glaze. I think it's fine as a primer. I think it's terrible as an over the makeup highlighter. I think it's a beautiful highlighter if you just put it on bare skin. It's so pretty. It's just such a subtle glow. It's fine as a mixer. I've tried it that way. It's a very thick formula too, but like once you let it sit for a second, it's set. So like if you put it on your bare face, it's like gonna set down. It's not gonna be gloopy. Your hair's not gonna get stuck in it or anything like that. I wanted so badly. I can't emphasize how badly I wanted this to work as a liquid highlighter on the top of my cheeks. I love the way that my hand is like just a sheen, because it's not like, I feel like all highlighters really have like a base to them, and this really doesn't. Like maybe if you have deeper skin, this might show up a little bit more as a color, but it was just like, it's just a perfect glow. It lifted my foundation every time, whether I tapped it in with a finger or a brush, or you know, like it just didn't want to do it. I don't think this is a failure of a product. I don't love it as a primer more than I love like the MAC one or my Victoria Beckham one. Like I don't love it more than that, because like as a primer, I just thought it was like fine. It like my skin looked good with it, but it's not the product I want it to be. I'm gonna read the back. Alone as a skin perfector, which I think is probably the best use for it. As a primer under foundation, I think that's the second best. And then mixed with foundation, and it has on the bottom as a highlighter, which means it should perform and not lift my foundation. Most of my highlighters are cream or liquid, so I'm very familiar. Very many brands get it right. This isn't it. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm so sad because I know it's kind of like a cult favorite product. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sad. Ta-ta sad. Ta-ta cry. This was another gift from Ananda. It's the shade L'Avenue from Merit in the signature lip. So the sheer lip formula. All right. That's what it looks like. It's not the same as the Haus Labs, but do you see what I'm saying? It's like a lot of this kind of like worm ready things. This one's definitely less orange. On the lips, it reads more as a berry. Okay, here's the thing. I get so many compliments IRL and on camera if this is on my lips. It's on my lips in a couple videos that have yet to come out because I'm posting this first. I do think that the Merit Signature Lip remains my favorite formula. It's not for everyone, but like I really like it. I have had other shades in the Merit lipstick formula. I had the shade Slip, and it did this thing where it got really melty and like it touched the sides. This shade, I think that's from the lid. I don't think that's, it's not scraping the side like Slip did, so it doesn't have that problem. I just don't wear a lot of makeup that like lends this to being the final result of the lip. If I do the most subtle makeup and like no eye makeup and I put this on the lips, I think that's like a perfect look. I don't really like do that often though. And it's like, if I'm gonna make the lip color a product, I'm gonna choose a bold lip. This would be like one of the scenarios where I would choose like that pink lip I have from Patrick Ta, or I would pick to use like the orange lipstick I have, because that would be like the perfect time to use it. It's so pretty though. It's like objectively, I know it's pretty. It just like really doesn't make sense with like the makeup I typically wear. And like sometimes I do warm looks, but even then I have like warmer browns that I probably would reach for before reaching for this. I'm gonna pass it on to a friend because I think that someone could take this and like really run with it. It's just not, I know it's not gonna be in my collection. There are some more Merit signature lips that I would like to try, like the shade Baby. I definitely remember like swatching that in store. Almost every time I go to Sephora, if they have a Merit stand, I go swatch Baby. It's something that's been on my mind. I like that shade a lot. I also like this shade a lot, but with how realistic I'm trying to be with like what I keep, it just doesn't make a lot of sense because I just know I'm not going to use it a lot. And if I'm going to keep some lipstick that I'm not going to use a lot, I would want it to be less practical. Like I don't think a hot pink lipstick is super practical for me. So it's okay that I don't use it that often because I'm not doing those kinds of looks often. This gets really close to being something that I could use with a look, but it's never quite the thing. So, okay, we're going to pass on that. So these are from Surratt. They sent these in PR. I love these. These are their new artistique liquid highlighters. I have the shades Lame, which is like a goldy highlighter with champagne sparkles in it. And this is Frou Frou. I was watching them on my hairy hands, but you can really see it. So Frou Frou's over here and Lame is here. I'm a big fan of these. These are gorgeous. They're like this perfectly subtle highlighter. I also just think Frou Frou is such like, in this kind of market, the luxury liquid highlighter market, I just feel like we don't see shades like Frou Frou with that like beautiful pink. And Lame, I think we've worn Lame more, by the way. Whenever I first got these, I thought they were gonna like replace the Charlotte Tilbury highlighter, the Spotlight highlighter, but they're a completely different thing. They're much more sheer and they have like a lot of shimmer particles in them, but that shimmer still reads very elegant on the cheek. If you're opposed to glitter in your highlighter, these are not for you. I think they have just enough to make it look like something, but it's not overpowering and it's just really evenly distributed. It's really gorgeous. And like, I also have their Torch Lumiere, and I think this is much more intense. And I don't even think this is that intense of a highlighter than these ones. They just look more natural. Ugh, so gorgeous. I'm keeping both of them. Lisa Eldridge's Skin Tints #1 so far on releases this year. This would be my second favorite release. I have 4 of these from Vive Cosmetics. These are the Satin Slip Lipsticks. This is the whole range. And Ananda sent these to me. Normally she'll send something and she doesn't really say why. Like most of the time I've figured out it's color because I do look at her pictures, and oftentimes she'll have like the same formula in another shade that I think she likes more. And sometimes I think she'll buy, I don't know, I think she has L'Avenue, the last shade. But I'm wondering if she didn't like this formula because it is the whole range. And I think that I kind of like agree. It's not the most outstanding satin lipstick formula. It's Nighty, Silk Sheet, Deep Love, and Kink. Now, every time I've worn one of these, I've gotten a compliment or two if I've applied them on camera, or if I just worn them on camera and I didn't really like apply it on camera. So yeah, I think that the lipstick formula is pretty average. It's not something I would go out of my way to buy. I feel like in the United States, Vive is a little bit more difficult for us to get. I think she ships to the United States, but I also feel like it's a brand not a lot of people talked about either. It's a brand I would love to do a deep dive review on because it's just kind of like, what's going on with Vive? You know, like that's kind of like what's going on, because it is priced at luxury. I will say that these aren't super heavy, but they are super pretty and they're nice to interact with. They have a magnetic top, like great. Love that about it. I think what we can do here is immediately get rid of Deep Love, which is this one right here. It's not a lipstick shade I'm gonna wear. It's that berry. I'm not. I've worn this shade. It's the shade, I think it's the shade Silk Sheets. No, it's the shade Nighty. I've worn Nighty a couple of times, and it definitely gives like kind of a concealer lip vibe. It has like too much pink, I think, to be a real concealer lip, but I love it with a lip liner that's really blown out and this just kind of in the center. It's really pretty. As you know, I just got rid of that Makeup Forever one that I wore as a concealer lip. I like this much better than that Makeup Forever formula. So I am going to keep Nighty, the concealer lip, Silk Sheets, and Kink. And they look like a lot like what I typically use. I feel like one of them is going to be similar to 1990. And if it is, then I don't need it. They have pink in them, which I guess a lot of my lipsticks are more brown. It's like a brown leaning pink. And I feel like that's a pink leaning brown. And I think between the two of them, I would always just choose Myricks. I like the way it looks on my lips though, the shade Kink. But I don't feel like I need it. Yeah, this is much darker, and it looks like this is the color of my lips. This is from Olivia Palermo. It's the Rosebud shade. Okay, so I thought that might be a dupe, but it actually kind of looks like the lighter version of that, which is interesting. This is Dahlia from Revi Beauty. It's not quite like that. I'm not super confident about Silk Sheets. I really think it's pretty, because I do remember liking the lighter too. It is a really pretty shade. I didn't have anything like it. I'm gonna consider that. Like, it's not a lipstick shade I think I would have bought, but it's a lipstick shade I like on my lips. This is the Hourglass Vanish Powder. I'm a big fan. I'm excited to put it in the regular drawers. This is the shade Translucent Light. It's a beautiful, blurring, setting pressed powder. Something I like the look of it. I've loved using it. So I'm very excited to finally move it into my drawer. I have like a lot of powders. I mean, I'm sure there are definitely YouTubers that have more than me, but for me and like what I'm trying to do with my makeup collection, I feel like I have a lot of powders. And now I have 2 eyeshadow palettes to reckon with. I almost forgot about them because they're so big they don't fit in the drawer, which is a con. I actually have 3 eyeshadow palettes. I forgot because the other one also wasn't in the drawer. I think this one's gonna be the hardest part. It's like, it feels like it should be easy because like of how I feel about eyeshadow palettes and how good I just was about downsizing my eyeshadow palette. But we'll start with this one because I've already announced in another video what I'm gonna do with this. This is the Bella Beauté Bar Smoky Glam Palette, and it kind of just made a fool out of me in so many ways. So it's 36 eyeshadows, which is, in my opinion, too many in an eyeshadow palette. However, layout like this works for me in a way I was not expecting it to. So it's kind of like almost like 3 9-pan palettes. And Kristen, if you're listening, maybe something to consider to do with these is to do like this is a 9-pan, this is a 9-pan, this is a 9-pan, this is a 9-pan. We might have to rearrange some of the shades, but that's kind of like how my brain takes it on. I will swatch all of these shades, which I'm gonna regret doing because I hate swatching things, but I want to show you all of the shades. I love a smoky eye. And I think I only really recently was kind of just like, that's kind of the only eye I do. I mean, I do defer sometimes where I like will do a different thing. Love a smoky eye. So everything from here down, like the top 2 rows, take them out, is just perfect fodder for smoky eyes, but they all have like different tints to them. Like everything in these 8 pans right here, and maybe even including that, have like a green to them. Ah, I love it. I love a grungy green, but like these smoked out greens are so different, and they're not like blue leaning or anything like that. Cause I feel like sometimes when we talk about like a grungy green, it has a little bit of like teal to it. These are just like straight gray greens, and I am obsessed with them. And I have been wearing more pinky and mauve shades, and I like the pinky mauve shades in here. I think they're really gorgeous. The black in here is so excellent. I love all these deeper tones. So it's like variations on smoky eye. So you could do like a pink smoky eye, a purple smoky eye, a green smoky eye, or just like, there's not like, well, there is a white. So you could do just a regular gray black smoky eye. It's like, it like lives up to that like smoky name. I'm gonna swatch all the shades. I'm going to like just show you the end result because this is a lot for me. This is the top 3 rows. I saw, I don't know how she did it, but Bad to the Brow, she like ended up, she did it all in one go. I don't know how the hell she did that. I don't know, my fingers are too fat or something. But this is the top 3 rows swatched. And this shimmer is like this gorgeous flaky shimmer. And then when you blend it out, it's like this sheer metallic sheen. Oh, it's so good. Ooh, ooh. I feel like this is spectacular. The next 3 rows are like really where my heart sings. So here is the last 3 rows. And you can just really see like that's this, I mean, like the smoke. It's all, this is the smoke, the blowing smoke. This is the smoky part of it. Incredible, incredible. They did send this in PR, and the owner, whenever she did offer to send it to me, she was like, okay, so I'm restocking this, and I kind of caught the vibe that you're really like much more into like smoky eye and neutrals, and I know that you hate big palettes. I always love whenever someone has knowledge of my content whenever they offer to send me something. It happens occasionally where they'll be like, okay, like what's the vibe? She was like, I just think that you're going to like this color story the best out of what I have right now. And she was right. Kristen was right. This palette, but despite its size, is perfection. I hope to one day see this come out in refillable pans, or just like segmented a little bit where it's like, you know, just like not so big, because I do think that this could benefit from like editing into like a couple of separate palettes. But prove me wrong, I really like this palette and it is huge and I'm keeping it. And then I have this from bellabeautébar. This is the Secret Garden palette. And this was new this year. The Smoky Glam palette got restocked, but it's not new to the range. This was new this year, and this is a beautiful, colorful, garden-themed palette, I guess is what we would say. It has 25 pans, which is also a big palette. The thing with this is that I'm not gonna reach for this palette. It's really gorgeous. I've enjoyed the looks I've done with it. In fact, I'm always surprised because I feel like this color story isn't unique unto bellabeautébar. I feel like we've seen other brands come up with like a similar concept. I think the Flower Punk from Kaleidos is like a similar idea. The Trixie Plant Gay palette, similar idea. I also feel like the Hella palette from Angie and Odin's Eye, I feel like similar vibes. I think this is a really great version of it. I do think it's big, and I did do a video where I like edited it down. And luckily in this palette, and this is the format that bellabeautébar does now where you can remove the pans, I think that this is like a much more approachable buy, I think, because especially if you are someone who likes to move around and play with your eyeshadows and make custom palettes and such, I think that this is like really, really good for that. If I looked at this palette and I looked at my edit, which I think my edit was great, and I would keep the palette if like that was the whole palette. But for me, I really think that I can give this away to someone and they would have a full palette and it would be really great for them. So I am going to declutter this one. It doesn't mean I don't think it's gorgeous. It's the same across the board. The mattes are gorgeous and really easy to work with, which I think is really hard to find in indie brands. I think bellabeautébar, in my opinion, of what I've tried of indie mattes, makes the best indie mattes, better than like Kaleidos, better than Odin's Eye, and the shimmers and textures in here are also really, really lovely. Remember how I started talking about like grungy greens looking a little bit teal? I feel like these are really, really teal. And they have some black-based multichromes in here, and I just don't think I like them that much. Not theirs, I just think the concept of a black-based multichrome isn't for me. So where this palette really shines is like that top row of neutrals, of course. And then I really like the pinky shimmer shades in here. Like I like all of those shimmer shades, even this one, which is like a little bit warmer than what I would usually go for. And I also like the pinks and like the purpley things happening here. I did include greens whenever I made my own palette, and I like to have those greens in it, but like I said, it's just not a perfect palette for me. I'm gonna swatch it for you though, so you can just see it swatched out. Okay, so this is everything up to Oasis. I'm gonna run out of room. I'm not gonna be able to fit it on my full arm. So like, of course I love this. And then I also really like this shade right here. It's the shade Butterfly, that lemon lime Sprite kind of color. And then I also really like the shade here, Sun Shower. If they sold that as a single, I would consider buying that as a single. I kind of like those ballet pinks, but I think I also have something very similar in my collection of singles already. So that's everything up to Oasis, and then I'll swatch the rest. And then there's everything that was left. Super gorgeous. Can't wait to give this to a friend for them to love more than I ever could. And then the Sigma Cool Neutrals palette. If you've watched my channel at all, you'll know that I really like this palette. I love Sigma eyeshadows, which is like such an unexpected discovery for me this year. They're really great. I like the way that they perform. I find that they're very easy to use. I love their shimmer formula. It's not as blinding as like what we just saw from bellabeautébar, but it has like that sophisticated sparkle to them. I really like it. The cool tone half of this palette is a dream. And if it cut off here, I would absolutely keep it because I like their formula. I really like Sigma's formula. This is the second palette I've tried from them. I've heard that like it's kind of hit or miss on some of the Sigma palettes. I just know if I keep this, it's going to distract me. When I use this palette, it fills me with such joy. When I open this palette, I'm like, there's so much I can do. These are the kind of things that I really like to do. I really, really like it. And that's not to say I don't have those similar feelings whenever I open this. And they're not like the same or are dupes of each other by any means. Like there are like, you know, down here we have like the smokiness that we kind of see over here. And obviously we don't have like that honey warmth that we get on the one side of the Cool Neutrals palette that in here at all. But I just know I would be keeping it for a couple of shades I really like in here. And that's not to say I really like the looks I've made with it, even if I wasn't using those two shades. But I just know that I will pull this out so much more than I will pull this out. And like, I already don't really pull out eyeshadow palettes too much as it is. I don't really use makeup like that anymore. So for me to like keep an eyeshadow palette, it has to make me feel like this. Like this definitely, like, it sparks joy. It's so funny. Like it like overcame so many boundaries I normally have whenever it comes to like wanting to try an eyeshadow palette even. And like it it did things that made me feel differently about having a palette that size. I can't say that this like makes me feel all of those things, but I really like it. I'm very fond of it. It's one of my favorite palettes I've tried in a really long time. But I do think it'll find a better home with someone else. And I will give them the brush if I can find it. Don't know where that went. I didn't use that brush at all. I just tend to ignore those. So I will swatch this for you, and then I will give it a fond farewell. After that, I think I'm going to pull out everything I kept, because I feel like I kept a lot more than I wanted to, and just kind of like run through those real quick to make sure that that's what I want to do. Also, if it's still happening whenever this video goes up, I think Sigma's having like some kind of huge sale. I think my promo code gets you more percentage off. You can seek that out. You can seek that out if you'd like. My promo codes are kind of always in my description box. I don't put them on screen or anything. So there it is swatched out. And someone asked, like, what do you mean the difference between the shimmers in something like Sigma versus like an indie brand? I don't know if like Sigma would technically be considered an indie brand, but like bellabeautébar, if you rewind and look at the swatches of the shimmers on that versus the shimmers on these, like it's just like they're not really comparable because the shimmers are so intense from indie brands like bellabeautébar or like Leona. This is just like, I love the sparkle of these, but like you can tell it's like not, it's not the same thing. I can't come up with a better word right now, but like this would be like what I would consider like a sophisticated sparkle, and not that you can't make things more sparkly than this look sophisticated. I think you could use the bellabeautébar palette and make a very sophisticated look with it. It's like, it's just like a different thing. It's like a different beast. So I've enjoyed my time with her and I'm going to give it to a friend. Did I really, here's the swatches without me talking, just kind of like, so you can see them. Okay, let me pull out everything that I decided to keep. This definitely is more than I wanted to keep. Like looking at this, I'm like, So I think what I'm gonna do for sure, I'm gonna pull out like, don't want to not have them. The bellabeautébar palette, definitely want to keep. Definitely want to keep the powder. And I do want to keep the lighter lipstick from Vive. And I do want to keep EADEM because that is like the best lip balm I've ever tried. I do want to keep my Surratt highlighters. I have like a couple lip products here, right? I don't really feel bad about keeping a lipstick. I feel like they last way longer than brands say they're gonna last. So I'm okay keeping that. I feel like I was really iffy about keeping that. I'm still feeling that way. I love this lip plumper, so I'm gonna keep it. And then I like having an SPF lip balm just to have on hand. I don't want to pass this on because it is like musty, crusty, and gross inside. I would hate to just throw it away, which is like the other option. So I will keep that, but I'm going to work through it. I don't think that keeping an extra SPF around is a bad idea. I feel like we talked a lot about the Cheek Dewy blush, and I don't really need this, but I want it. Okay, but I have other things like, I'm fairly certain that my Victoria Beckham primer is about to go away, and then we'll focus on this one, and I don't think it will take me very long to get through that, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And then I can work on the Bobbi Brown one. So I'm keeping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 things. I feel like I'm getting rid of a lot more. I'm trying to think of, is there anything I want to get rid of? I feel like my blush collection and my highlighter collection is pretty honed in. So I don't feel like I need to declutter anything to keep those. I don't really foresee myself keeping a lot of eyeshadows this year, so I'm not going to feel guilty about that. I don't have any primers like that aren't mostly used up. So it's like, I'm not gonna feel bad about that. Again, I'm not gonna feel bad about SPF or lip products. It makes sense. I could argue that I should maybe get rid of one of my powders, but I like having a loose powder, which I would consider my Givenchy powder. Like I like having that as well as a pressed powder. Okay, I think we really made clarity of that. And then that lipstick from Vive that I was unsure about, the shade Silk Sheets, I'm just gonna declutter it. And then these are gonna go back in the testing drawer. And then let me pull out everything I've decluttered. Wow, I've been filming for so long. Oh my God. Here's everything I'm getting rid of. Let me count it up. So I'm going to consider these all individual products, and same thing with the CoverGirl duo lip things. So I'm decluttering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1 other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I am getting rid of 27 things. I'm pooped. This is almost 2 hours of footage. Wow. I had a lot to go through. Okay, so I'm feeling okay about this. I don't know why I'm so stuck on how much I kept, but I really need to keep in mind that the primer situation is like, it's going to be handled quicker than I think it's going to be handled. I'm excited to give 2 palettes I really liked away and rehome a bunch of things. So, all right, thank you so much for watching. If you happen to be new to my channel and you're not yet subscribed, I would love to have you subscribe. My channel is mostly about loving my makeup collection first and foremost. I obviously get PR and I do things for review, but my ultimate goal is to help myself and help you build the habit of being more discerning about the makeup we're buying, which is why I've this took a lot out of me to really consider everything. I'm trying to be very deliberate about what I keep. As someone who does get stuff in PR and someone who buys stuff for review because I make a little bit of an income on the channel, it's like I can only keep so much that would be reasonable for me. However big you want your collection to be and however big I want my collection to be, that's like our own personal choices. So I like to keep my collection as small as I can and only keep things that I know I'm going to love, love, love. So if that sounds good to you, I'd love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. I'm on Patreon and I have channel memberships over there. I do some additional content. I've been vlogging and I actually have been really stepping up the game. I bought new mics, so hopefully this next vlog will be even better than the last one. Now that we could get the sound a little bit better. The visuals might be still bad because I'm only recording them on my phone. I don't have a vlog camera at this time. It doesn't seem worth it for me. Anyway, check that out if you want to. That's just an additional way to support my channel, not exactly a better way to support my channel. Liking, commenting, and sharing my videos are the best way to support me. I also have linked down below a link to a GoFundMe to help a family in Gaza. Please check that out. If you don't want to donate to me, but you have the money to donate to them, I would love for that to be what happens. And that wraps up the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to follow your hope and you'll find me. I'll see you in a video very soon. My phone is in my pocket, but where... I can't believe it. Anyway, go forth. Tits out.